And good morning, truckers. This is Mr. Kassarian, and welcome back to another episode of my Let's Play series. So, let's see what we got on the job market today. Rotterdam? Sounds good to me. Alright, so let's get this on the road, shall we? What are we going to talk about today? Let's get back on the cab. I know what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about guns. Guns. I like guns. Honestly, I really do like guns. You guys probably know I'm a target shooter. I've learned over the years of my life that there are a couple different types of people who... There are three major attitudes towards guns. Okay? There is... guns are awesome. Which can best be summed up by they're fun to shoot. And the only reason anyone dies with guns is because people are dicks. So in other words... I screwed that one up. So in other words, people kill guns don't kill people kill people. I am firmly in that camp, which I'll explain why later. You have guns are evil. If there were no guns, there wouldn't be any murders and rapes and etc., etc., etc. And then you have guns. Those are the three major groups, and I find that most people fall into guns, out of everything. Very few of us are active partisans like myself. And I've also found that, the people on the two extremes, you're not going to change their minds. You're not. It's one of those things that depends on, I guess, cultural opinions and how you were brought up and what your own opinions and beliefs are, and you're not going to change someone else's mind. Which is the short way of saying, guys who are watching this, don't start trying, okay? I'm not going to give up, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, you're right, we should ban all guns. I'm just not going to. I don't believe that that's the answer, and I will not agree with you no matter how hard you try. Now, wow, I'm ballsing things up today. Yeah, so I'm not going to agree with you, okay? Just get over that now. I'm not going to agree with you. My God, you're dense. Wow. I'm not going to agree with you. You're not going to agree with me. Let's just agree to disagree and whatever. Okay? Okay. So, guns. Guns. My favorite, actually, if you wanted to ask me about it, would probably be the Sig Sauer 226 and 229. In 40 Smith. They're very nice firearms. Very expensive firearms, too. About $1,000 a pop. Bit more than that if you're getting the really very high price versions. Guns are kind of like cars. You may have a Honda Accord, but, do you have the LX, the EX, the ETZQ? Yeah. It depends on what you want, The higher end models have more bells and whistles. On some guns, that means, an underbarrel rail for flashlights or laser designators, or on some guns, it means, night sights on the back that have a mildly radioactive element in them that actually glow at night. Kind of like those dinosaur stickers? Or the planet stickers that you put on your ceiling when you were a kid? And when you expose them to light, they kind of charged up and then they glowed at night? Those, okay? Those. Imagine a very powerful version of that, and that's basically what night sights are. Anyways, so yeah, there are a bunch of different versions. The nicest one I think is like $1,200 for the SIGs. Anyways, very, very good firearms. I like the ones chambered in 40, which is kind of an intermediate caliber, 40 Smith & Wesson. Which I guess I should explain. So, okay, let's go back to the 60s and the 70s, all right? Back then, the FBI used a revolver, a .38 Special, I believe. Your standard detective fare. All right, The FBI found out, however, that 38 isn't an especially impressive caliber. It's not terrible, but it's a little bit light. Now, there's an old maxim, which basically says that if you shoot someone if you put enough bullets into someone, they will eventually stop moving. However, if you're an FBI agent and you're involved in a gunfight, you may only have one shot. So you want to put someone flat on their ass with one shot, right? Makes sense. If you're... Okay. A gun is kind of the nuclear option. Okay? Once you've pulled out a gun and fired, there's no going back. If the other guy has one, he's going to use his. Right? There's no, okay, everyone, hold up, let's put it back in the holster. No, that's not going to happen. Once you've pulled a gun, you can basically assume that you and whoever you're engaging are basically going to be in a fight for your lives until one of you is wounded and disabled or dead. Okay? That's just how it is. That's why guns are so deadly. There's no going back from them. You know, they're the ultimate... Once that card's on the table, you can't put it back, right? Now, all right. So if we assume that when you're an FBI agent, you're pulling your gun out, that you're going to be in a really bad situation, right? You want to put someone down with as few shots as necessary. Why? Oh God, toll booth. Haven't they ever heard of Easy Pass? Anyways, yeah. So the FBI realized this, so they developed a round known as the 10mm auto, for 10mm autoloader. It was basically a round that's about the size of a 9mm, only about a millimeter wider than a 9, which is what the military uses. And a lot of police organizations use the 9mm as well. It's a very nice, mild round. Not a lot of kick, not a lot of recoil, pretty easy to shoot. It doesn't pack a wallop of stopping power, but it's decent. And what they did was they widened it, and they packed a hell of a lot more powder into it. So it has a much higher velocity. So more kinetic energy transfer, and a fairly, pretty heavier actual round up in the casing. Well, they quickly found that they couldn't hit crap with it. The 10mm auto is not a mild round, partially because the way they got most of their 10mm auto guns was to rebore and rework 9mm. Now, recoil in guns is basically determined by the weight of the gun that you're shooting versus the mass coming out the other side. So the more powder and the lighter the gun, the more recoil. That's why some of those, like the really small pocket revolvers, my mother actually has one, that are hammerless. They're probably, you could fit the entire thing into my palm. They're that small. The grip is so small I can't even get all of my fingers on it correctly. Like my pinky and my ring finger. Ring finger? No. The finger next to the pinky. End up hanging off the bottom side of it. So yes. Anyways, that's why they have so much felt recoil. They're actually, the amount of force coming out the other end, or being worked on you, from Newton's wonderful laws, is actually less than would be from a comparative autoloader or something else. It's just that there's so much less mass inside the actual gun that there's less inertia for that recoil to overcome before it affects you. That's why rifles, even firing carbines actually, that tend to fire pistol caliber rounds, tend to have so much less recoil, even though they're firing the same round. They're bigger, so they absorb more of the recoil. And off the rumble strip. Okay. Anyways, so you kind of end up with this. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh god, how am I gonna get out of this? Load last save, apparently. We're gonna lose about 5 minutes of runtime. Okay, so that was a mistake in judgment. So as I was saying, yeah, don't try and run tolls in this game. As I was saying, the trucks, no. So they found that they couldn't hit anything with these things, simply because the recoil was too heavy. So they ended up reducing the amount of powder in the 10mm. It's not bad. Well, they realized that the 10mm is a pretty long cartridge. They realized that this new government load could be fit into a much smaller round, about 0.4 of an inch in diameter. So they did. And so the 40 Smith & Wesson, 40 caliber Smith & Wesson built, was born. So the 40 Smith is an intermediate. It's not quite as heavy as a 10mm, but it packs more punch than a 9mm does by a good, decent amount. It's actually relatively mild from my experience. Certainly more than I thought it would be. Certainly more mild than I thought it would be. However, it packs the power that, you know, if you need to put someone on the floor, you can. Especially if you're using hollow point bullets. Oh, yeah, you guys probably have no idea what hollow points are. Okay. You probably see them in video games and wonder, what the hell is a hollow point bullet? Don't worry, I'll illuminate you. A hollow point is exactly what it sounds like. The front of the bullet has been basically drilled out, leaving a sort of a conical depression in the front of the bullet. So what it does is, when the round enters a human, you know, when the round hits home, it deforms. As it meets resistance, it spreads out and it flattens. So let's say your bullet's about the size of a dime going in the front, in terms of its diameter. Well, it's going to come out about the size of maybe a nickel or a quarter, depending on how big and fast that round is. They're designed to cause massive internal damage to the person you hit without punching through them. So, okay. In the movies, bullets stop when they hit something. In real life, they don't. Especially if there's something like a Full Metal Jacket round, which will generally hold together through a target much more effectively than most other rounds will. What this means is, let's say you're in a room, okay, hostage situation. You're the SWAT team. You burst into the room and you start shooting at your bad guys. There's a bad guy standing in front of a hostage that you can't see. You shoot the bad guy, your round punches through the bad guy, deflects off one of his bones, and hits the hostage in the head, killing them. Congratulations, you may have just found yourself without a job. The police department might understand what happened. The media won't. And you will be crucified in the media. Congratulations. That's how the game's played, guys. It sucks, but that's what happens. So, yeah. Hollow points were kind of designed to stop that from happening. Because they expand as they go through the target, they do much more damage to the target, but they're also more likely to expend all of their energy going through that target, and not have any punch through or carryover into someone behind them. That's why they're basically used as self-defense rounds by both police officers and civilians. They have the side effect that, you know, you're not going to hit anyone, and they have also the effect that, you know, you're going to do a hell of a lot more damage with the caliber of round you're shooting. So yeah, they have the side effect that you're going to do a hell of a lot more damage. But saying, he loaded his gun with hollow points isn't like saying he was going out to kill someone. What it means is, yeah, he was going and carrying his gun. The reason you're going to carry a gun is for personal protection. If you're carrying a gun for personal protection, you're going to put the most effective rounds in it to do the job. Right? Right. In fact, I think in a couple states it's actually considered negligence if you are knowingly carrying your gun for self-defense and you don't load hollow points, and then you hit someone or damage property or something like that. Gunfights are messy deals, folks. I mean, it's not like, you've seen the movies where it's like bang, 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 and everything's done. Sure, that happens sometimes, but far more likely, the good guys are going to get hit, the bad guy is going to get hit, and the cop's job is to figure out who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. Because they're not psychic, right? They're really not. Cops are not psychic. They have no way of knowing which guy with the gun is the good guy and which guy with the gun's the bad guy. And beyond that, the hope of carrying a firearm, most of the time by people, is that having the firearm will discourage people from attacking them. Okay, let's say you're a criminal, right? You're not in this for some high and mighty goal. You're in it for money. Money. And you can't spend money if you're dead, right? Guns are very good at making people dead and unable to spend money. So what they're going to do, more often than not, hopefully, is they see a gun and they go, okay, that guy has a gun. I'm going to leave now. It's the first thing I was taught in any of my firearm self-defense courses. You're not being a hero. Don't try and detain the guy or capture him. That's a tricky subject that you don't want to get into. If you can manage to get a cell phone picture of him as he runs away, absolutely do it. Otherwise, call it in, report it to the cops, and feel lucky that you stopped something bad from happening, And if you run into a guy who's interested in killing for the sake of killing, well, shoot him. That's the way it is, and that's the world we live in. For those of you outside the United States, gun ownership is kind of part of our heritage. I don't mean to say, this and that. And what I mean is that it's something in the American psyche, even beyond just the concept that the modern gun culture. We have always had a gun culture. This is not a new thing. This is not the media glamorizes guns. We've always had a gun culture. Anyone who tells you otherwise has never, ever, ever done their historical research. Certainly, most people didn't own guns, even the colonial period, because guns are expensive. Guns are expensive. Even a crappy Kel-Tec is a couple $100 easily. It's not the sort of thing that you just, walk out into the store one day and go, I'm going to get me a gun and plunk down $50 on the table like you would a video game. No, you're talking a couple $100 and then ammo, which is also somewhere along the lines of really not cheap. Not at all cheap. Oh, wow. We're already almost out of time. I guess I should pull over. Alright, we're going to have to go to outside view to make this work. Oh, almost out of there. Stop engine. Let's rest up. And on that, ladies and gentlemen, I actually think this is a good point to end the episode. So next episode, we'll probably have some more gun talk, unless I get a bunch of video responses saying, darn it, Kasarian, shut up about the guns. But that's okay. Alright, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's been fun. Thank you for watching. Give me a like, comment, subscription. Boo, Pascal, over $1,000. And thank you very much for watching.